Hey guys, it's me, Kat, bringing you day 66 days of abstaining from refined sugar, specifically abstaining from foods that contain sugar that makes me go into an extreme spiral of binging, and that leads to physically hurting myself by eating too much or eating until I'm nauseous or basically falling into a complete depression, because sugar is a substance like nicotine or caffeine that our bodies easily gets dependent on to give us a sort of a feeling, whether it is to feel energized or just to feel happy. And even though for a lot of people they don't experience this, some people unfortunately have it and do it too much, and that results in more negative effects than that little bit of tastiness that it brings. Now, with regards to my journey, I must say I honestly have not found the sugar addiction to cut it out of my life so hard. What I found difficult is everything else that goes with it. So cutting out the chocolate was okay, but figuring out what to do with myself when I'm having a bad day or I'm tired or I'm irritated and I want to treat myself, that's difficult, because you don't want to replace one addiction with another, and you don't want to cause problems like maybe becoming a food addict and just eating the whole time. So I have just developed so many questions, and I feel like I think we all feel like this, but the older we get, the more we grow, the more we realize we know nothing. And yes, I've always agreed with that, but what I'm finding is the older I'm getting and the more I'm fixing myself, the more I'm finding that there are things about myself that I need to fix. And that's what's irritating. For example, I'm not overeating. I'm actually doing pretty well. But currently, what I'm struggling with so much is to be consistent with my eating plan. I think I mentioned it in yesterday's video. So I'm constantly sitting there thinking, what can I do about this? How can I fix the solution? And you can Google and so forth, but there is no one that can say, take this pill or do X, Y, and Z. This will work. It's things that you have to figure it out on your own. And unfortunately, there is a certain level of pushing. You have to push yourself. You have to be hard on yourself. The problem is a lot of the times we are too hard on ourselves. And I'm also trying to find that balance, because I'm either too hard or not hard enough. Where is that balance where you're being just hard enough? So you're not beating yourself up about failing, but you're not going, oh, let it fly, let it be, let whatever, and then completely going off the other end. So I'm finding that very difficult. I'm also finding it difficult to find myself treats that I can have that are delicious, because there's a lot of sugar-free options out there, but most of them are highly expensive and they taste completely crap. For example, with this corona thing that's happened, a lot of companies have started now making alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverages. And if you've tried some of them, you can potentially agree with me that they taste like shit. Okay? So we have these things without the alcohol, without the sugar. They're expensive, so much more expensive, because I understand to replace that key element, you've got to try and do other things. So they're very expensive and they're extremely disappointing. And it's sad, because being a sugar addict, I mean, that's obviously something I've had a problem with. But what about people that are diabetic, that it's a proper big time health condition that they didn't ask for, that is not, it's something that's been around for a very long time. It's a medical condition that so many people have, and now you've got sugar addicts on top of that, and the options out there is terrible. There are more options out there for people who are maybe dairy intolerant or lactose intolerant. There's so many options, or even gluten I've seen has started to become a thing. But I'm finding with sugar, it's terrible. But again, I was speaking to someone today, and potentially having very few options is maybe better, because might start replacing the feeling and the reward system you had with your chocolate or your sweets or your cake or so forth, with now that sugar-free thing. And it's I don't know, I find it so difficult, because I find that yes, the sugar is addictive, but the reason you use it is also, it goes hand in hand. And that's the difference why you can watch me and go, but I can eat chocolate and I'm not a sugar addict. And the thing is, because you are not placing a heavy mental link on it for you. There is just, I'm eating it, it's yummy, it's finished, okay, done. Where I think for a lot of us, that cycle, that connection is so much more in depth. For example, my day was terrible, I'm having this chocolate, I feel now I'm in control, it is delicious, I feel happy, I've been eating this and doing this for so many years, this is the only way I know how. So it's not just a matter of eating chocolate and it's too tasty. There's so many factors that go with it. So the tradition, the habit, the way you were brought up, the fact that you link it to such a strong mental cue, whether it is reward or relaxation or power or whatever, and that's also what gets us. And I think it's unfair, it sucks, I wish it wasn't a thing, but hopefully I can get control over myself. And I feel like I recently went from being too hard on myself to being too airy-fairy, but I think I needed that. But now I need to get back on track, and in order to do that I need to push myself, because before discipline and before routine gets formed, there is motivation, and with motivation there is pushing yourself. You have to push yourself, and if you're not pushing yourself, you've got to ask yourself, is this goal what I want? Do I want to really achieve this? Because sometimes there are things we want to do, but we don't really want it bad enough to do it. For example, I remember when I was younger, I wanted to do the splits, but I didn't want it badly enough to even try and stretch every day. It was a matter of trying it once or twice and then going, oh, because I realized it wasn't a goal that I was willing to put the time and the effort into it. So at the end of the day, yes, you need discipline. Yes, you need to do all these preppings, and you need to do the social cues of what's the cue, what's the reward, what's the action. But there is hard work. There is hard work, and there will always be hard work. And a lot of the times we want a quick fix. We want an easy go around. We don't want to hear it takes hard work. If it didn't take hard work, everyone would be addiction free. Everyone would have high paying jobs. Everyone would have stunning bodies. Everyone would have insane talents and skills. It takes hard work, and hard work, you need consistency, you need perseverance, you need discipline, you need to keep working and challenging yourself and growing. All those things take time, and they take so much time and patience. There is no working your ass off and reaping the benefits. And I noticed that was something I was thinking about yesterday, is I'm not consistent. I give a lot, and I work very hard for short periods of time, and then I am the opposite. So in varsity and school, I was not one of those people that studied a little bit every day. I would literally study the day before my exams or the day before my test, and I would study so hard, very hard indeed, and I did well. But I quickly lost that information, and I didn't use that as a habit forming technique for other things in my life. So for example, I can diet. I can diet so hard for a month, exercise hard, eat right, but only for that short time. I cannot do it for 6 months. And that's now what I have to unlearn. I have to unlearn my inconsistency. I have to unlearn, is that even a word? I don't know. I have to break down that bad habit, which I've now realized I also have. Let's put that onto the list and build a new one. So I get these days where I feel so overwhelmed with all these things about myself that I have to fix. And again, it just reminds me about how you've got to be aware, because maybe one problem is not being fixed because this problem, you haven't been aware of it yet and you haven't noticed it, and you need to fix that in order for this problem to start working. And also patience. You've got to be so patient, because there's just too many problems, so many problems that a person can have, and you've got to fix them, and you can't expect it to be overnight, and it takes a long time. And it's one thing when you've got one task to focus on, and that was staying away from trigger foods, staying away from refined sugar and refined carbs, and now it's gone from one to quite a few. So it's becoming, it feels like it's a full-time job, and it feels like whenever I look there's something else. But I'm trying to not be hard on myself. I'm trying to push myself, I'm trying to become consistent, and I think that consistency is pretty much the peak of everything. I think the moment I get that, everything else will start forming in line, or so I hope. I don't know, hey? I've had a very long day. I have had to give a lot of my mental and a little bit of my physical energy today, and I am so tired. I am tired physically, I'm tired mentally. I just, I don't know, I think I'm just tired of life and I want things to get a little bit easier. But I've also learned the hard way that that's not going to happen. So I've got to wait. I've got to be patient. I cannot sit on my hands and say life's so unfair, boo-hoo. I've got to go, okay, this is it. I've got to accept it and I've got to do something about it, because I don't want these problems to be as they are in the future. I don't want to be, where I used to talk about dieting and dieting and dieting and then binging on chocolate and then thinking, if I was consistent, if I did what I was supposed to do a year ago, I would be where I want to be now. So it's about starting now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next week. Start now. And that is also incredibly hard. Incredibly hard. If I'm telling you the truth, whatever plans I have, I'm not going to do it today. I feel like I don't have the strength, and that's maybe not good, but that's, at least I'm being honest with myself, and I'm saying, start now, but I'm not going to start now. I'm going to start tomorrow. So don't do as I do as I say. And if you can admit to yourself that you're making excuses, at least you're already progressing by saying, you know what, you're making excuses, you're full of shit, but it's okay. Don't do that tomorrow. I suppose we're all human, hey? It's life. Life is life. La, 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 la. Okay, everyone, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.